football fans, welcome back. This is High School Football Rewind. Drew Sarachman with the College Football Hall of Famer Jim Ballard. We just concluded week 5 of the high school football season, and we are coming to you from the Stark Media Studios in downtown Massillon. Speaking of downtown Massillon, that's the first game we're going to talk about this week. Coach Nate Moore's team takes on the number 1 team, well, maybe number 2 team in the state, besides Moore, Lakewood St. Ed's, and pulls off a 31-28 victory. To start the game, St. Ed's, big kickoff return for touchdown to start the game off. Then Massillon gets the ball back, fumbles, led to another St. Ed's touchdown. St. Ed's is up 14-0. But the rest of the game, Massillon outscores Ed's 31-14. Jalen Slaughter got hot. He began, the Massillon offense getting rolling, hit 2 touchdowns to Ardell Banks, really gave him some confidence. And then he had some really nice throws, including the game winner. He's really starting to play well, putting some nice touch on the ball. Talk about Jalen Slaughter's growth.
I'll say this, if he's a stock, you buy it, because he is going through the roof. He's playing extremely well the last couple weeks. Against Harding, he threw for 248, drew in 4 touchdowns. Last week against Ed's, 295 and 3 more touchdowns. The poise that he is showing, especially against the teams that he's playing, late in the game, ice in the veins. That throw on 4th down, that fade route, perfect ball, gave the receiver an opportunity, was a great route. He's just playing with a lot more confidence. You can see the offense getting better every week. We talked about them being about a 5. Man, they're about a 9 right now. They are just hitting on all cylinders. You still got Hartson out of the backfield that can run. Lennox Jr., not really doing a lot on offense, but if you need him, he's there. We saw what he could do last year. They could put him in the backfield and spell him for Hartson. You can also put him in the slot to take some of the pressure off Banks, where he can get down the seam to stretch those safeties with Banks on the outside going one-on-one. They are playing really well right now. That was a huge win against St. Ed's, but it was emotional. It came down to the last kick, which ended up missing, 42-yard field goal. They got to let that go. The emotion of that game, it's a quick turnaround this week, and you got a Fitch team coming in playing hot, and they're 5-0. Looking forward to seeing how Massillon responds in such an emotional game, an emotional win against one of the best teams in the state of Ohio. It's an impressive win all the way around.
Yeah, like you said, huge matchup. You go from one big game to another big game, with Austintown Fitch coming to town, who's 5-0, has had some success against Stark County teams already. Beat the brakes off McKinley, beat the brakes off Glen Oak. So it's going to be interesting to see how Massillon comes off, that big game win. But like we said, Jalen Slaughter is just throwing some unbelievable throws right now. I looked at that game. He's dropping the nose in, on those corner routes, which is really tough to do in high school. He's putting the ball on the money on some of those slants and posts to Ardell Banks. Teams are going to have to, if he keeps putting the ball on the money like that, teams are going to have a safety over top Ardell Banks, because Slaughter's really going to hurt you. And then obviously, Pringle on defense is playing really well for Massillon as well.
Their defense is playing outstanding. I mean, they fly around to the ball. I love what they do. They're aggressive. They bring blitzes from a lot of different angles. That you put the ball on one of the hashes, or right middle or left middle. Don't be surprised if you got a corner coming off with the safety rotating over the top playing man. You're talking about Jalen and his progression. We saw them against Glen Oak week 2, and Slaughter was a little off. You said it, Drew. A lot of his deep balls were flat, and Banks didn't even have an opportunity to make a play. He had the guy beat. They went press man, no air under the ball. Corrected that week to week. You're seeing his mechanics get better. His back legs starting to come through more, which is helping that knee bend a little bit, getting more drive down the field on some of those deep squaring and deep posts. But I love the fact that he is giving those guys a chance, because you got an Ardell Banks who's 6'3" with a big wingspan, with a big vertical jump. You just got to throw it up to him and just give those guys opportunities to make plays. He's doing that. The offense is benefiting from it. He's playing better. And what are you going to do now? You're going to load the box with 8 to try and take away Hartson, and then that, what that does? That's one-on-ones on the outside. Now you got a mismatch. Excited to see what's going to happen this weekend. Fitch is not going to back down.
No,
they got an unbelievable 4-star defensive end, 6'4.5", 235. Johnson, I believe is his kid's last name. All over the place. Auburn, Alabama, Kentucky, Notre Dame. Anybody in the country, they have offered this kid. They got to neutralize him, and the way to do that, they're going to have to run right at him. Coach Moore will have a great game plan with Trox and your good friend over there as well, Mays, getting it done.
Cale Miller does a great job with the receivers.
Sure too, does. Yeah. They're just playing extremely well right now, and they're really, and they get through these next couple games, man. I mean, they got a couple games.
Yeah, a couple out-of-state teams coming in.
Yeah, kind of catch their breath a little bit, and I mean, by the end of the season, this team's going to be really
yeah,
good. They're really good.
They're
going
to be battle-tested too.
Exactly.
You know, in the past, I think some Massillon teams, you know, their schedule hasn't been as strong as they thought when they scheduled it, but this team is getting challenged, and you know, I think, you know, sometimes when you don't get challenged during the season as much, that makes those playoff games tougher. They're seeing the best of the best right now, and we'll see how they can grow moving forward. So that game, Austintown Fitch at Massillon. UNTJ will be at Paul Brown Tiger Stadium this Friday on 99.7 FM and iHeart Media app. So if you want to catch that action, make sure you tune in. We'll move on to East Canton. East Canton gets their second win in as many weeks. They beat Sandy Valley 34-28. Last week against St. Thomas, it was Brendan Betts, a quarterback, with the big game. This week, it was the running back Jake McCullough with a dominant performance on the ground against Sandy Valley. 110 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns, 75 yards receiving and a touchdown. So East Canton's starting to get things rolling now as they move into their IVC slate. My alma mater, St. Thomas Aquinas, was up at halftime for the first time this season, but couldn't finish. They lost 39-22 to Wyndham, and unfortunately, I mean, to me, that appeared to one of the games like, okay, if we're going to get one, fellas, it's going to be this one. So, you know, good luck to them going forward, but, you know, not looking great for my Knights. Malvern goes down for the first time this season. We talked about last week. Ridgewood, just a really physical team. Great ground game, great defense. You know, they had shut out Marlington the week before 7-0. So tough game for Malvern. They suffer their first loss. Coach Donnie Hertler and his Canton Valley squad, 42-18 win over Bridgeport. Their second win in a row. To the EBC now. A game that UNTJ were on over at Kleinfelder Stadium, right down the road here. It was Alliance 34, Canton Central Catholic 7. You know, 21-0 third quarter for Alliance. They really pulled away. You know, Caden Davis is playing with a cast on his left hand.
Club.
Yeah.
I mean, all the way around.
And, you know, I talked about it earlier in the season. I really like the talent on this Alliance team. The supporting cast has been there in spots for them, but they need to bring it together if they want to make a deep playoff run and win the EBC. But a great win for them, 34-7 against Central.
It was, you know, it started out, Alliance got the ball. They went methodically down the field, scored a touchdown. You're like, okay. You know, just like we did week 1 when they played against Lake. Mm-hmm. Canton Central Catholic responded. Jack Talkington had a nice drive. They ended up leveling the game 7-7, and after that, Alliance pitched the shutout. Didn't give up another point the rest of the game. It was very impressive. Talkington was running for his life most of the night. The offensive line got handled by the defensive line from Alliance. Alliance is good. We said it after week 1 when they lost to Lake. This is a good football team. They have dudes. Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, you start with Zerbrug. He's got about 8 or 9 Division I offers. The things he can do, not only with his arm but his legs. I mean, he's fast. He's a track guy. He covers a lot of ground. And there were times where they'd run the zone read, and the outside linebacker or defensive end would have contain, but he was so sneaky fast that he just seemed to get around the end anytime that he wanted to. And his ability to extend plays, he's got receivers that are really good. Ended up throwing a touchdown pass to 4 different receivers, which in high school, I mean, that's really impressive. You don't see that very often. Did a great job of just managing the game. It was all Alliance. Canton Central Catholic couldn't really get anything going. Another great game for Zerbrug. Finished 11 for 14. Did throw 1 interception, but got it done with his arm and ran for over 100 yards. It was all Alliance. A great rebound from the first week. All they've done is ripped off 4 wins in a row, and they are playing extremely well for Coach Goodman. Like what they're doing right now over at A-Town. Yeah,
same here. I think they're really talented. I think they've got some nice players on the line, and going forward, you know, when you have those pieces, those studs, those Division I type players, you need the supporting cast to really make a run. So it'll be interesting to see how those kids continue to improve as the year goes along for Alliance. Marlington goes down to Warren JFK, 28-7. Really tough schedule for the Dukes so far this year, and they're really struggling to score in Coach Phil Morrow's first year over there. Minerva falls to 0-5, 44-13 loss to Ravenna Southeast. Salem kicks a last-second field goal to beat Parma Padua Franciscan 23-21. Most people don't know much about Parma Padua. They're usually a very big, very physical, team. Something Salem probably hasn't seen much of so far. So that's a good win for them to beat Padua. And then to wrap up the EBC, West Branch offense keeps rolling. 4 more touchdowns for Drew DeShields. They beat Warren Howland 48-14. We're going to send it to our sponsors. You're watching High School Football Rewind on Stark Media Team YouTube channel.
At C.H. Vallis & Associates, we've been proudly serving the greater Stark County community for over 78 years. Locally owned, we cover your home, auto, business, and life insurance along with your group benefits. Our partnership with auto owners has allowed us to span not only Ohio, but throughout the entire country. Did you know that Auto Owners, an A++ rated company by AM Best and a Fortune 500 company, has ranked C.H. Vallis & Associates a top 10 insurance agency in the state of Ohio? From your basic home and auto needs to insuring some of the largest companies in America, there's a reason people choose C.H. Vallis & Associates and Auto Owners. Our dedication and passion for our clients and their coverage is part of our commitment to excellence. For all your insurance coverage needs, there's only one call to make, and that's C.H. Vallis & Associates, located at 1302 South Main Street in North Canton. Contact us at 330-494-2776 today and see the difference in customer satisfaction.
All right, welcome back to High School Football Rewind on the Stark Media Team YouTube channel. If you want to get updates on all of our videos, make sure you press subscribe. It's free to our YouTube page. Every week, the Pro Hall of Fame Luncheon Club, TJ and Sam Berkwin do a little thing there, every week previewing that. And then they have the speeches from the Luncheon Club on our YouTube channel. So make sure you check that out. Some really cool things going on there.
Great speakers, Drew, huh?
Always.
Yesterday was Andy Logan.
Yep. Yeah, talking a little Ohio State. So Hall of Fame Luncheon Club, check that out for sure. Follow us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, share our stuff. We've got great graphics coming out all the time. Chad Butcher from Fairless Sports Media helps us out with a lot of that stuff. He's doing a great job.
Appreciate it,
we
man.
appreciate
Great
all the help he does. And speaking of Fairless, we're going to get into the Pac-7 right now. Canton South gets to 1-1 in the Pac with a 42-6 win over Manchester. Offense is rolling there. Key to the rest of the season is going to be that South defense. They're putting up points every week, so we'll see what happens going along in league play. Poochie Snyder is a really good player over there.
Just broke the all-time passing record. Broke Matt Trissell's record over, I believe it's 6,000 yards, I believe.
Nice, yeah.
Or so. But
shout out Matty Trissell. You're my boy, Matty.
Still only junior. Halfway through the season and got a whole nother senior year left. Going to be 8,000, 9,000.
A lot of yards. It's going to be a lot of yards. Yeah.
5,500 as just came in. We appreciate that. But unbelievable career so far.
Mm-hmm.
He's really got it rolling. As you said, they just got to. We know they can score. They can score as much as they want at will every week. It's just a matter if that defense gets it figured out. But Poochie Snyder behind the center always gives you a chance to win.
Yeah, and Zion Culver, another player that's really good for them as well. Northwest goes to 1-1 in league play after that loss to Fairless with a 40-12 win over Tuslaw. The Indians scored touchdowns on offense, defense, and special teams. So great win, getting in the win column in league play for Coach DeMarco's bunch. And now we get to Fairless. Fairless took a 28-0 lead into halftime, put it in the bank, beat Orville 42-14. Big game by Carson Colucci, Fairless quarterback, threw 3 touchdowns. And that's going to set up this week a big matchup with CVCA. Before we get into that, CVCA beat Triway 36-6. And that's a big win for them. They're running the ball really well. You work with CVCA's quarterback, I believe, at Ballard Quarterback Academy.
Ryan Weehee.
So, let's talk about that matchup this week. Fairless up at CVCA. Jeff Tyler from the Stark Media team is going to be up there bringing us updates constantly. So make sure you're checking out, the Stark Media team Twitter feed for that. So let's talk about it. Big matchup. 2-0 in league play, Fairless. 2-0 in league play, CVCA.
CVCA, for those of you guys that aren't familiar with what they do, they're a lot like Perry in that they just pound the rock. They run it extremely well. They go big personnel. They run the veer. They just run it, and they they're going to run it, and they try to sneak those passes in there. They usually throw about 5 to 7 times a game. Ryan's starting to settle in as his first year as a starter. Had a great game last week through 2 touchdown passes. His first multi-touchdown pass game of the year. Kyle Snyder, Drew. Been watching this kid since he's a freshman. He's a 4-year starter. Big kid, physical at the tailback position and the middle linebacker position. He's a Kent State recruit for wrestling, committed. The offense runs through him. He's going to touch it probably 30 times every game, has been. He's a nightmare to tackle. He's thick, he's strong, he falls forward, low center of gravity, big shoulders. Got to gang tackle him. Got to slow him down if Fairless wants to beat the CVCA team. Jesus, spit it out later.
Cuyahoga Valley Christian Academy, right across the street from Walsh Jesuit.
Yes.
One thing I like about Coach A.J. Sarbaugh's team is he really, he comes from a background that, hey, I just want to run power off tackle like Donnie Hertler used to do, one of his mentors there. But he's really adapted his offense to the talent that he has. He's had some speed last year. He's got a lot of speed this year. Colucci's good. The Yoder kid's good. So, he's done a great job.
Mcneil.
Yeah, a great job, really making that offense fit the talent he has. And they've been efficient and they're scoring points. So like we said, check us out on Twitter for updates. Jeff Tyler will be up there this week for that Pac-7 showdown. We'll move to that and talk about one of our sponsors, Ben Wallenberg's Chocolates and the Fulton Drugs Plaza, 2520 Harrison Avenue, right across from Stadium Park. I went down Saturday morning to get some stuff, get some cashews to eat for the Browns game. They made me choke on my cashews.
Spit them out, too.
I'm sure everyone's tired of hearing about that already, so we won't talk about the Browns. But when I was in there, he had turtles made. His turtles are this big. They got the pecans in it, the caramel, the chocolate. I'm supposed to be on a diet, but every time I go in there,
hearing that out loud.
I know, every time I go in there, I'm like, God, he's just got stuff that's unbelievable. So check him out, Ben Wallenberg's Chocolates. He's always got specials going in there. Also, he'll ship, holidays are coming. He'll ship your order anywhere in the country. bwchocolates.com, or just give him a call over at the store, stop in the store. So we appreciate, him being a sponsor here for High School Football Rewind. And to anyone else, if you're interested in advertising on any of our games, any of our social media, maybe putting your name on the graphics, get a hold of us at starkmediateam@gmail.com. With that, we're going to send it to break, and we'll be right back.
Spirit of Stark embodies the pride that each community in our county has for their local schools and teams. That's why when it's time to find the best in custom apparel, look no further than Spirit of Stark, located at 409 Erie Street North. Custom embroidery offered on almost any type of garments, from shirts and jackets to hats, pants, and shorts. Their state-of-the-art equipment allows Spirit of Stark to fulfill any order, big or small. You name it, they can do it. Want to look your best heading back to school this fall? Contact Spirit of Stark at 330-806-6745. We can't wait to hear from you.
All right, we're back here on High School Football Rewind. Wild week in the Federal League. We'll start with Jackson at Perry. Crazy game, back and forth the entire game. Jackson wins it in overtime, went for 2 in the win. So two-way player Reagan Malloy plays linebacker, also plays fullback, catches the 2-point conversion on a great play that we're going to show you here in a minute. But I want to talk about one of the plays that really gave Perry fits. And this is what I like to call counter Fox. It's a counter play. for the offense that Jackson was running. You know, people may call it different things. So when you talk about counter Fox, you're probably like, well, what the hell does that mean? So a normal counter, you would see, you know, the guard and the tackle pulling around to the front side. What the Fox means is fullback. That's how I've worded it. Other people may word it differently. So counter Fox is you're going to have this guy pull and kick out, and the fullback come around for the linebacker. So I'm going to draw up what was happening here for Jackson against Perry in that game. So Jason Davide, the good running back for Jackson, was churning out yards, has done well all year, but they're running, Coach Balderson is running this counter Fox play back to the tight end against Perry's 4-4 type defense here. So what we're going to get first is we'll start with the front side of the play. The center is going to block back on the nose guard. Okay, you know what? I'm going to grab a different marker here so you guys can see it better. Center's going to block back on the nose. All right. You're going to get a double team here out of the front side guard and tackle. You can get some movement here, hopefully to eventually pick off this backside backer. With this front side tight end, he's going to arc to the second level to try to block this outside linebacker for Perry. So what we're going to get on the backside now is we're going to get this guard pulling, hauling ass down the line, getting in the line of scrimmage to kick out this end. And you're going to have the fullback wrap around to block the front side linebacker. So Perry or Jackson, you know, that sometimes they may run it this side to make it look like it's come this way and come back, you know, or they're in the pistol, they can go straight downhill as well. Backside tackle, it's going to step hinge, close that gap down so there's no run through. So what you're going to see is this really creates a murky picture for these two linebackers, okay? You know, you see the pull, they got to communicate the pull so they can get downhill. But what Perry really struggled with is this front side linebacker was really struggling to find the place where he needed to fill. What he needed to do is find this puller, this fullback, get on his outside shoulder and blow it up right in the hole so the back would have to cut it back. What happened, I think, is he was seeing the big lineman pull a lot, picking him up, and he's crashing short, which is now allowing them to bounce. Eventually, you know, this linebacker, they got hurt in the play, tried to come inside. Tight end does a good job, and you'll see Davide bouncing. But this play, Jackson ran probably about 4, 5, 6, 7 times in the game, maybe more than that. But I've got about 5 clips that we're going to go to film, and we're going to show you this. So this is a counter Fox look against Perry's 4-4 defense, and this play made a huge difference in Jackson winning this game. So now that we've shown you the play on the whiteboard, we're going to watch 3 plays that they're running this counter Fox, and then we will show you the plays that they score at the end of the game. So as you'll see here, we got the tight end to this side. You know, Perry's in their 4-4 look defense here. We've got the fullback set away. Davide's in the backfield. So we're just going to roll it here in slow-mo to see what we're talking about. All right, so you've got the guard pulling. All right, he's going to go kick out that second man on the line of scrimmage, which is the end. He's getting into the line of scrimmage. That's pretty good here. And then you'll see this fullback pull around for this front side linebacker. We got the kick out. We've got the puller coming for the front side linebacker. Davide puts a foot in the ground. Now with that linebacker attacking the puller there, there's a big hole here because the tight end does a great job arcing to the second level. Davide sees that, hits the jump cut, and he's tough to bring down in the open field, breaks away, touchdown.
Great job by Davide getting north and south off that one move.
For sure. So we'll run it to you here in real time now. Watch the pullers. Watch these guys that they're kicking out here. Bang. Foot in the ground. Get north and south. That is counter Fox by Jackson.
Rewind that a little bit, Drew, if you don't mind. One thing, you wonder why running backs are as good as they are. Watch the patience right there. Davide's slowing down just a little bit, giving his fullback and guard an opportunity, a little choke down there, let the play develop, see it, stick the foot in the ground north and south.
Yeah,
Great job by the offensive, by the guard pulling and the fullback, but a good job by Davide of just being a little bit patient, being a little bit deep back in the set, giving him an opportunity to not only see the cut, but to be able to make it.
You know, and at running back, you know, it's things that we stress to running backs are keeping your shoulders square so you can see everything in front of you. And then one thing that I was always big on is being a one-cut vertical runner. So what that means for you people at home is once you make a cut, you got to get vertical and press right now. Get north and south. You see a lot of these kids that wants to cut and juke all over the place, and they're not going anywhere. Davide does a great job here being a one-cut vertical runner. Gets the ball downhill. One cut, now get vertical.
Bang.
And that's a touchdown. So we'll move on here. This is much later in the game coming up. It's going to be the same play. So now Jackson's doing that out of a 2-by-1 set. All right, you got the fullback set as a wing to the weak side. Davide is opposite of where the play is going. We're going to motion, and we're going to run with the quarterback. So same type, same blocking scheme. So this is kind of like a QB counter Fox here. Fake the motion. Right there. Now Perry does a much better job on that play. Now we'll go back. Here it is again out of the first formation. Big play.
Patience by the back. Good kick out block.
So same thing as we saw in the first clip that we saw here. You're going to get a pull out of this guard to kick out the end here. You're going to get the tight end arc into the second level. And what's starting to happen is these linebackers here who need to be able to see the pull, shuffle across or shuffle downhill and get to the outside shoulder of this puller, they're getting caught up in the mess. And it's a real murky picture for them with all these moving bodies. There's the kick out.
Great patience again. North-south, as you stressed, Drew.
Yep. So watch. I want you guys to watch the front side linebacker here, what he does. He's coming right now, and he's getting lost in the wash a little bit. He's there, but since this tight end's doing a great job sealing and Davide's patient, this linebacker's out of the play. You know, we really even had a mix-up here. You know, maybe they decided they were going to kick this guy out now because they're starting to go inside. But the kick-out still works. It doesn't matter. You block whoever's to your inside if that's going to happen. But another example of them making a murky picture. Huge play for Jackson on this counter Fox play. All right, we'll move ahead a little bit. Now this is what starts to happen. Since they're having success on this play, this outside linebacker is going to do what he shouldn't do, is fold too far inside. You know, fold too far inside. Now the kick out and the linebackers on the inside don't even matter because he folds too inside. Davide sees it. He gets the edge and gets around. You'll see our puller go to kick out, our puller around, or our fullback coming around. He dips his head inside because they were struggling to stop the run in between earlier. Davide takes the edge, motors into the end zone.
Got to stay outside leverage for that outside linebacker. As you're saying, Drew, the inside linebackers are getting washed down.
Yep,
With
caught in
all
the
the
wash.
pull.
Yep.
If you're the outside linebacker, you got to turn that back inside of those linebackers, not let them get outside, because once he gets outside the linebacker, there's nobody there but the corner.
Yeah, and Perry really did a decent job here. Jackson didn't even block this well. In all reality, they didn't block it well. But since you have someone that's not doing their job, that's dipping inside and getting caught up, not being physical on the edge there, Davide takes it in for the score.
How many yards with those 3 or 4 runs through have we seen Davide? Yards after contact,
Yep.
broken tackles. I mean, it's at least 25 or 30 yards. This is why he's one of the best backs in Stark County. He's not a guy that is a 4-4 guy, straight A to B, but he breaks a lot of tackles, and his ability to see the holes, be patient. This is why he's more of a complete back, and he's tough to bring down.
We'll go to the end of the game here in overtime. I know a lot of people probably want to see the play, so we'll show it to them. This is the touchdown. Now, a lot of success, okay? Davide's gotten the edge on him just before this. He got the edge, so these guys are worried about, okay, hey, he's getting it and he's bouncing to the outside. Perry's a little too aggressive here, over pursues. We talked about Davide before, keeping his shoulders square, ability to put his foot in the ground and get in the end zone. Now, this is not the counter Fox play. This is kind of like a power sweep type look where they're pulling both guys, make little old school Vince Lombardi power sweep here.
Nice cutback.
But great patience and gets Jackson into the end zone. And I want to get to this 2-point play because this is a ballsy call. A ballsy call by Jackson. So Perry's in man-to-man here, okay? So we've got our 2 receivers up here. We've got our wing here. This is Reagan Malloy who catches the touchdown. All right, he's in man-to-man. And then you got your receiver here, we also have man. So what Jackson's going to do, it's just a little mesh concept pretty much, is they're going to drag him across to get this area to vacate so they can drag Malloy, I'm thinking of the old Patriots player, Reagan Malloy across the bottom, and hopefully this linebacker can't stick with him because his eyes are elsewhere in the backfield. And I'll tell you what, it doesn't work out as well as Jackson hoped too, but it was a really good throw here by Lattarullo for the touchdown.
For the 2-point, to win.
For the 2-point conversion. So we'll go slow-mo here.
Half rolling into the left to pull the defense there. You can see the guy who's supposed to guard Malloy gets caught with his eyes in the backfield.
And the corner doesn't even bite all the way. The corner doesn't bite all the way, but it's just enough to get back and go across here. Game winner, 2-point conversion, really ballsy call by Jackson, and you'll see him run on the field here all excited, which they should be. It's great to win a game this way. It's terrible to lose a game this way. So hats off to Jackson. They're excited. They should be. Big win in the Federal League for them.
That's a great comeback. Great comeback win. They controlled the game for the most part. Perry did not score until the 4th quarter, Drew. It was all Jackson, kind of like what we saw last week against Green, except Jackson just was not able to put the game away. It was good to see Jackson rebound from that tough Green, loss last week. This is a Jackson team that should very easily have 1 loss.
Yeah, and they're making plays in the 4th quarter to win games. At first I thought, man, maybe Jackson's just lucky. Maybe they got a horseshoe stuck up their ass and they're just finding ways to win. But they're winning games in the 4th quarter. They did it against Akron East. They did it this week. So hats off to Jay Rohr and his crew over there. Hopefully that little film, shows you guys kind of the insides of things, what happens, within a game. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right here to wrap up the rest of the Federal League and this week's episode of High School Football Rewind.
Mcneil and Sons Tree Service serves the greater Northeast Ohio area by keeping your property clear all year round. Do you have trees that have stretched too close to your home? A rotted tree that has to go? Or perhaps even storm damage? No job is too big or small for Mcneil and Sons. We specialize in large tree removal, storm damage, stump grinding, land clearing, and more. Mcneil and Sons Tree Service is fully licensed and insured, so contact us today at 330-606-1126 for all your tree care needs, or visit us online at mcneiltree.com to schedule your free quote. The professionals at Mcneil and Sons can inform you of your tree health and give you a risk assessment to keep your family protected. So call today, 330-606-1126. Mcneil and Sons Tree Service, a company you can depend on with family you can trust.
So we talked about Wild Week in the Federal League. We just talked about the Perry-Jackson game. Another game that was a little crazy. Hoover had control the entire game. Glen Oak tried to come back at the end. North Canton Hoover beats Glen Oak 41-31. At the beginning of the season, I was a little worried about this Hoover team. I saw the youth, but their coaching staff's done a great job over there getting them to grow. They found their niche now. They imposed their will that entire game on Glen Oak on the ground. And Glen Oak showed a little bit of their youth at quarterback. They used both quarterbacks. Young Adrian Berth, sophomore, threw 3 picks. That can't happen. You can't turn the ball over, throw 3 interceptions in the Federal League and expect to win a game. But Glen Oak, who had done such a great job, except for when Will Butler was carrying the ball the week before against Lake, Hoover said, we're coming at you. We're going to run the ball down your throat. Stop us. And Glen Oak couldn't do it.
Yeah, this was a game, Drew, that was 14-10 at halftime. I mean, it wasn't like a blowout game. I mean, Hoover poured it on in the second half. Glen Oak put up 21 in the fourth quarter. But, there's a lot of pieces to fill off last year's team. Carson Doorland was a starter last year. They really didn't ask him to do a lot, just kind of manage the game. They didn't throw him a lot, only in certain spots. But he's really settling in. He had a nice ball game. Threw a couple touchdowns, finished 8 for 15. They did throw an interception, 120 yards, but he's been efficient. He's been making plays. Next gen, Ashby Mason, of course, younger brother of Connor, who's doing great things at Kent State. He's really coming on as a sophomore this year. He does a great job in the special teams game with punt returns and kick returns. You can line him up in the slot. He can carry the ball. There isn't anything the kid can't do.
He's a big play threat.
He's the X factor when you play them. You got to take him out of the game. You got Brocker, who's also doing great things as a sophomore wide receiver. They're young on offense, but they're really starting to figure it out. Coach Baum is doing a great job with them, and Hoover's playing extremely well right now.
And I'll be there this week for Hoover as they travel to Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium to take on McKinley, who's coming off a big win as well, and we'll touch on that in a second. But in that game, I really McKinley showed this week that, they can guard the pass, but they need to prove to everybody, can we stop the run? Because our 2, losses before that, Kaufman and Perry, they couldn't stop the run. So this is going to be a test for McKinley to see if they improve that run defense, because Hoover's going to run it right at you, and then they're going to try to lull you to sleep and find creative ways to get Mason Ashby the football. Elsewhere in the Federal League, as expected, Lake hammered Louisville. Wasn't really much of a game. Obviously Louisville was pretty good on defense, still struggling on offense. So hopefully Lake was able to get some guys healthy. They had a lot of different guys carry the ball in that game. Everyone really contributed in that Lake victory.
Solberger with a hat trick.
Yeah, 3 touchdowns for Solberger. He's a guy who can hurt you and does a lot of the little things that isn't getting the notoriety because of Will Butler, because of Cale Jarvis throwing the football, because of the speed they have at receiver. So nice to see Solberger get in the end zone a couple times there. And Lake, this week will take on Jackson coming off that big win.
Game. 5-0.
Yep. So, we'll see what can happen there. Like I said, Lake's been banged up, so hopefully they can start to get guys healthy as they finish this second half of the season. Jeff Tyler and myself were up at Green for their homecoming game against McKinley. And I'll tell you what, it was not your typical homecoming opponent for the Green Bulldogs. Canton McKinley came in 0-4. You know, we had talked to Coach Hall. I had talked to him a bunch during the week. You know, he talked about we need to start doing the things that successful teams do as far as discipline goes, accountability, you know, our character. And once they start doing those things, then you can become a better football player. And I think that's what you're starting to see out of this McKinley team, because there's plenty of talent. They went up there and just whooped Green's ass.
They got dudes. I mean, they're athletic. They're always athletic. They're young this year. They graduated some key guys off last year's squad.
And some leaders they graduated. I think that's one of the biggest things.
Black is at Toledo. But you're talking about cleaning things up. They still got to clean up the penalties. Yes, they pounded on Green, but they still had 12 penalties for 117 yards. They did not turn the ball over, which was good. Offensively, Keaton Rohde had a nice ball game. He was very efficient, probably one of his better games of the year. He was 11 for 18 for $134. Had a couple touchdown passes. Mcneil is a good
Sincere McNeil's really good
football player. The kid can stretch the field. He's got nice hands. He's quick off the line of scrimmage. They're starting to figure it out. And McKinley has played a tough schedule. I mean, no excuses.
Yep.
You know, Coach Call will he's not going to say, well, we lined up against. But at the end of the day, they lined up against Fitch. They lined up against Dublin Kaufman. I mean, they've had some tough ball games. Menor. I mean, these are traditional deep run playoff teams every single year. Still trying to settle in as a staff. They got a lot of those guys got hired late last year. This is really only their second season together. Keaton Rohde's the basically a first year starter where the team is on his back.
Yeah.
Not going every other series with Williams from last year. So he's settling in a little bit. Coach Bartowell, for a long time, does good things on offense. They've got really good schemes as far as what they do with the pass and the run. McKinley's just got to figure it out a little bit better on defense, as you were saying. Their tackling has to get better. You got to eliminate the penalties, and they eliminated the turnover part of it. Now you just got to move into being able to control some of those penalties that you can control, and that's hitting after the whistle, the personal fouls, stuff, losing your shit at the wrong time. But it's a new season now. McKinley got all their out of conference games done, so now they move into the Fed. What do? They open up with a butt whooping on Green to kind of move them into the Federal League, and the Federal League, as we keep saying, is wide open.
It is.
Every time you think you might have a team pegged, Perry's going to come out and beat up on Jackson. Well, they didn't.
I thought they would.
I thought.
I'll be honest. I thought Perry was going to beat up Jackson.
I thought Perry would have a hard time. One adjustment that Jackson did make was they went back to the 3-3, and they were able to stop the run. They held Perry scoreless, Drew, till the fourth quarter. It's impressive.
Yep.
They're going to need that same kind of defensive play this week when they line up against Solberger and Will Butler in the run game at Lake. The advantage for Jackson is they are coming home. They should play extremely well. They played extremely well against Green when they were home. It's a different kind of game. Be interesting to see who comes out and what happens. I mean, this game could go either way. Obviously, Lake's the favorite at 5-0, Jackson 3-2. But we've seen Lake kind of sputter at times.
Yeah.
At different points of the game. And again, another pick six. You take out one completion, they're 3 for 10 for 15 yards. That's not going to get it done.
Yeah.
So Lake's going to have a challenge this week.
Yeah, a lot of good games in the Federal League. Getting back to this Canton-McKinley Green game, Keaton Rohde, I think, had 10 carries in the first half, and he wasn't just doing it with his arm. They were running him. And when they did that, the Green defense couldn't focus on Nino Hill because Keaton Rohde hurt them with his legs. Nino Hill had a huge second quarter, huge second half to seal the deal for McKinley. But you start to look at this McKinley team, and we were talking about this earlier, they've got a lot of really talented sophomores. So if they can get some leadership, Keaton Rohde is only a junior.
He's good. I was really impressed with what I saw.
The future's bright for McKinley.
No question.
If the coaching staff has to stop coaching effort, character, and behavior, and they can get down to coaching football,
X's and O's,
they're going to be really good, and you're going to see McKinley take off. Because I'll tell you what, from the eye test now, I've seen every Federal League team. They have the most talent in the Federal League, without a doubt. It takes a lot more talent to win games, but Canton McKinley is the most talented team in the Federal League. And if they can figure out how to tackle people and stop people in the run game, I don't think that they will lose the rest of the year until maybe week 10. But Canton McKinley, great win for them. Now they've got to build off this. So, just kind of wrap things up to tell you where we're going to be this week. Jeff Tyler, as we said before, will be up at CVCA for the big pack matchup. Two teams in first place, Fairless versus CVCA, kind of contrast in styles there on offense. That should be a good one. I will be at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium for McKinley versus Hoover. You and TJ Downing and Mark Milano will be over at Paul Brown Tiger Stadium for Austintown Fitch, coming in at 5-0 to take on Massillon. And Sam Berkwin and Jeff Shreve will be at Jackson for the Lake Blue Streaks against the Jackson Polar Bears. So, great matchups across Stark County. Make sure you follow us on all our social media pages. We appreciate everyone, sharing our stuff. Make sure you tell everyone about Stark Media, and wish luck to all the players and coaches this week. And that'll do it for us on this week's edition of High School Football Rewind.
Chris McCready's and his team at Finally Hear Hearing Aid Center in Canton offer up over 30 years of experience for their customers who are hearing impaired. Head over to their website at finallyhearohio.com and schedule your free hearing aid test and evaluation today. They're a best of the best award-winning company that prides themselves on customer service. Stop down and see them at 1201 30th Street Northwest or contact them at 492-1212 for an appointment. And thank you for sponsoring Stark Media's finallyhearohio.com Player of the Game.